Yo, what is good, people? Welcome back to another episode of the F123 My Team series here on the channel. If you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We are on the road to 5k. Hit the like button as well before we get into this one. First of all, apologies, there was no upload last week. I did mention it in the community tab on the channel. Make sure you check that out. I'm going to start posting a lot more frequently on there with channel updates. But yeah, just something came up, so I couldn't get the video out last week. But if you did see the last episode, we had engine failure, which was very disappointing because we had a very good race going in Australia. I was having a lot of fun in that race, and then the engine blew up, yeah, which isn't nice to see. We had a very unlucky last episode. If you did watch it, you would have saw all of the failures we had in the R&D department as well. About 4 or 5 research upgrades failed on us, which is not nice to see. You can see here we're trying to build up the resource points to restart some of those ones that failed. Also, I don't know what I'm going to call this video, so before we get into the race today, I just want to mention, I have something to discuss regarding this series, so stay tuned till the end to find that out. I'll discuss it more after the race and stuff, but first of all, let's focus on the race. As you can see, it was 4 upgrades that we did lose. 2 major ones as well, 3 major ones I guess, was the drag reduction, weight reduction and engine power upgrades. They would have helped us massively getting into today's race weekend at Baku, because there's very long straights in Baku. Yeah, top speed is key at this track, so to lose out on those upgrades right there, very disappointing, because they would have been massive helps with this race, as we'll see getting into it. So into qualifying, this is actually a sprint race weekend, which I forgot about. It's a sprint race in Baku. So if you don't know what a sprint race is, basically we're in qualifying now, the usual qualifying session. If you've seen the last few episodes, you know how qualifying works. So you do your qualifying session first. That sets the grid order for the sprint race, and then you do a sprint race which is only 9 laps or something like that in this career mode. It's like a fraction of what the actual race would be. So you do a sprint race, 9 laps, all out, every car on the track going for it, you know, it's a race. And then the final result of the sprint race sets the grid order for the feature race on the next day. So this right now is qualifying for the sprint race, and we're going very poorly so far in this lap. I don't know if it's just the car, if it's me driving, but there's certain corners I love this track. Yeah, there's certain corners that I'm just really good at on this track, and have been for years, but I don't know if it's a new game or the new car, that's doing it, but certain corners that I was really good at normally, I was just missing the apex completely and just not hitting those corners properly. So I'm going to blame the car. Yeah, I'm going to blame the car, because if you've seen any of the previous series on this game on the F1, you know that Baku is one of my favourite circuits to drive. Yeah, so anyway, we're heading towards the back straight now in sector 3 of this track, and this is really where the top speed matters. Out of this corner now, you are flat out until the end of the lap, pretty much on the throttle. As you can see, we're up into 7th gear now, and we've got a tight left, a tight right. Be careful not to lose the back end through there. It's always easy to get oversteer through that corner and smash into the walls, and look how long the straight is now. We're about to hit the DRS zone, and just keep going, bro. It's such a long straight, so if you don't have a good top speed in your car, you will suffer massively in this part of the track. So a nice little transition there as we go for another lap. It wasn't that bad of a time actually that we set there. It put us in P10, a provisional P10 that is, because a lot of cars still haven't ran yet. But we switch tyres, get some fresh tyres on the car, and go out for a second lap, because I know there were certain corners I messed up on where we could definitely improve on a second lap. This corner being one of them. Into the braking zone now. Can we hug the wall and hit the apex nicely? Yes, we did indeed. And again, this one, we overshot our marks. So we're going to brake earlier for this one. Get closer to the apex that time. Not perfect, but as you can see, it's really helping in the delta. This corner as well. This is one of my favourites normally. We get tight to the wall there. Swing it to the right. That was very nice compared to the last lap. And we're up 8 tenths now in the delta, heading towards the castle section. Into the braking zone there. Overshooting our marks a little bit. Scraping against the wall slightly on the exit, and now we are into the castle, a very fun part as we go up the hill, and we've got a downshift and swing to the right, so you can swing it back left. A very fun section of the track if you can hook that up nicely, and we're still nearly 8 tenths up in the delta. Again, another flat out portion of the track here, so top speed is key. A little bump at the wall again, lucky not to take any damage. Downhill braking now, very tricky to get the car slowed and turned into that corner. We've lost a bit of time in the delta, but we're still gaining more. Braking at the 100-meter board here for the left-hander, using all that curb on the exit, as much of the track as we are allowed to, and again into the flat out section. Our top speed in this car obviously not too good, and the acceleration to get up to that top speed not great as it stands, but it is what it is. We've got to deal with what we've got. Going to hit the DRS and cross the line and see where this lap can put us. Are we going to make our first appearance in Q2? Across the line into a provisional P7. Let's return to the garage and skip the session. We end up P11. So, of course, the top 16 in my team get through to Q2. Our teammate Fittipaldi, who's had a great start to the season, qualifying P15 and 16 in the first 2 races, qualifies P22 here in Azerbaijan. Not a great result for Fittipaldi right there. But we're into Q2, so we get to go again. As you can see, the sun's gone away a little bit. So the track temperature is going to be dropping. Sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing. Sorry, boys, let me just plug my laptop in. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I'm back. Yeah, so sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing when the track temperature drops. You know, if the track is too hot, then the tyres will overheat and you'll start sliding. If the track's too cold, then the tyres can't grip as well as possible. So you've got to try and find that Goldilocks zone where it's not too hot and not too cold. But right now, we've been struggling with oversteer in that first Q1 session a little bit. Oversteer is when you turn into a corner and the back end of the car steps out a bit more than the front end of the car. That's why they call it oversteer, because you are oversteering into the corner. That's pretty obvious, but yeah, we were struggling with oversteer. Don't know whether that was the car or just the temperature of the tyres and stuff, but we're struggling with everything now because we've just hit the wall and broke part of our front wing. But I felt like we had a decent sector 1 and we're going on sector 2 now. We may as well just finish the lap. And honestly, I didn't really feel much difference after breaking the front wing there for the rest of this lap. Obviously, we would have lost time for sure, but it wasn't like catastrophic. You know, we do have simulation damage on, which is like you're supposed to feel it if the car gets damaged, but like we did in Bahrain, the first race of the season, I definitely could feel it there. But this front wing wasn't too bad, and we get to a part now where downforce does matter because we are going flat out through a weaving section and up against the wall, close there, correcting the steering, down into the straight again, and we don't need this front wing anymore. But as it gave us a good enough lap before we take this front wing off and get a new one put on in the pit lane, we cross the line. It's going to be at 144, and it puts us P8 currently. The top 10 or top 11 is it? No, top 10 get through to Q3 in my team, and we don't qualify in that top 10. As you can see, we're going to be P15 for the sprint race, which isn't a bad result. You know, we're climbing, we're getting up there, boys. We are climbing, but still not great, but it is what it is. Let's get to the sprint race.
Forget pit stops, forget fuel management. It's pedal to the metal all the way here as we get ready for today's sprint. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's sprint. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, and a very happy Carlos Sainz will start second. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Perez, Hamilton, Russell, Norris, Fernando Alonso, Stroll, Albon, Bottas, Oscar Piastri, Gasly, Ocon, the Professor, Joe, Magnussen, Hulkenberg, Tsunoda, Sargent, De Vries, Sargent. And with preparations almost complete, let's head trackside for today's sprint.
Let's get to it then, people. Like I mentioned, it's only 9 laps, so we're going to be on the medium tyres for those 9 laps. No pit stops, of course. If you've got a pit stop in a sprint race, then you are like dead, pretty much. Yeah. So we do our formation lap, get our tyres up to a decent temperature, get a good parking spot in the grid. Not optimal, but still a decent little parking spot there. We've got the outside line down to turn 1. Quite a nice place to be, I find. But in fact, I would probably prefer the inside line, actually. But anyway, it is 5 red lights. It is no red lights, and away we go. A great start off the line for Morgan Elliott there, our main driver for the Dream Races. And down at the turn 1, we do have the outside line, having to avoid Pierre Gasly's gearbox there. So we bounce over the curb and around the outside, down to turn 2 now. We're going to try and push Gasly to the inside, and we make a dive ourselves on Alex Albon. That was actually misjudging the braking there, so we had to avoid contact and shoot down the inside of Alex Albon, but Albon stays ahead up into P12, making up a few places from the get-go here in this sprint race, which is nice to see. Like I mentioned, wherever we finish in this sprint race is where we will start the feature race on the next day. So, can we try and climb up any more places? The top 10 get points in an actual race. It's only the top 8 in the sprint race who get some points. We don't get full points in a sprint race though. So the sprint race doesn't really matter. Well, for us at this stage, nothing matters, bro. We're just trying to get points. Even 1 point from P10 in the feature race would be nice to see, but we have no points yet. We're trying to climb up that constructor standings, and we're on course today to possibly get some points, boys. We're currently at P12. We're chasing down Alex Albon and a Williams. Alex Albon, a very good driver, possible future teammate if we continue the series. That is, I don't know what the title's going to be yet, but yeah, possible future teammate, possibly. But we know that that Williams car isn't great, and on the comparison tree, I believe the Dream Racers car is better than the Williams car. So we know that we should have some pace on Alex Albon if we can just stick with him and try and catch up. Maybe once DRS is active, that will help out massively. But here we go towards this final section of the track on the first lap, where it is the straight section, and let's see just how much damage this is going to do to our car with the lack of top speed. Alex Albon does have the slipstream of Lance Stroll in front of him. We'll be getting a minor slipstream boost of Alex Albon, but down into turn 1, he doesn't get too far ahead, but he's still 7/10 ahead. We were very close to him through the corners, but on that straight there, not quite. But now Stroll is battling with Bottas in front of Albon, and I'm smelling an overtake. Just like Isagi in Blue Lock can smell a goal, I'm smelling an overtake right now. I can see 2 cars going too wide in front there. Alex Albon also smelling an overtake. Can we capitalise on these 2 battling in front? Down to the braking zone. Bottas has the inside line on Stroll there. He pushes Stroll quite wide. Albon has to slam on the brakes a bit early as well, so he doesn't go into the back of these 2 who are fighting. And Stroll ahead now, or Bottas ahead around the outside. A good battle there. Clean racing from those 2 drivers, and Bottas is now ahead. Can we stick with these guys and try and make that overtake? If the opportunity does come, if Albon starts battling with Stroll, then it's going to be our chance to make a double overtake. Unfortunately, we cannot get that done. Now look at that, the ICE and the gearbox both at 60+% wear later on in this sprint race, and that is going to cost us massively. You can see here now that Pierre Gasly making an overtake. We're down in P13, Albon's ahead by quite some distance, and we have to go late on the brakes there, almost into the back of Gasly. Compromises our line through turn 1 and down into turn 2. We've got Piastri behind us now. That DRS is activated, by the way. This is lap 8 of 9. We've skipped quite a lot of the sprint race here because we were just struggling. Yeah, that gearbox way and the ICE way, very, very difficult to drive with that going on. You know, the ICE, the internal combustion engine, is the main component of the engine that gives you that power and that drive. So you can see it, we're down the straight here, and the car's slowly creeping just above 200 mile an hour. We've even used our overtake, and we hit 205, 206. Early on in this race, we were hitting like 212 mile an hour down the straight. So to only be hitting 205 with overtake on, we've clearly lost a lot of power and a lot of top speed there, which is making us struggle in this race as we give Piastri a little love tap there in the back. We get DRS down the straight. Can we try and get back ahead of Piastri? Remember, we started P15 here. Can we claim any places in the sprint race getting towards the feature race where it will really matter? I thought possibly we could have pushed for top 10, but after that gearbox and ICE wear kicked in, not quite. But we're up into P13. A nice 2-point gain, 2-place gain there. And a nice overtake on Piastri there. Very nice driving as we go 2 wide, similar to the position that Bottas and Stroll were trying to overtake each other at. So a nice overtake, struggling with the oversteer. You can see the back of the car shaking there. Charles Leclerc comes across to win the race here in the sprint, and we have Piastri right on our tail now. Down the main straight, we're using all of the battery charge we've got left to try and claim the checkered flag ahead of Piastri. Hulkenberg now, he's going to have DRS. So is Piastri. They're both in our slipstream. Are we going to cross the line in P13, or will they overtake us at the last second? We are going to be P13. Yeah, it's not coming up on the screen yet, but spoilers, we stayed ahead. P13 there for Morgan Elliott. Not bad to claim 2 places in the sprint race. We'll take that. But yeah, man, let's get to the feature race.
And a warm welcome to you from Azadlik Square, heart of Baku, and home, of course, to the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. With high speeds, tight corners and few runoff zones, many are expecting a safety car here today. So our drivers will have to stay very much on their toes and hopefully out of the barriers. With 20 turns and a length of 3.7 miles, Baku City Circuit in the heart of the Azerbaijan capital is a real test of a driver's endurance, patience and precision. 90-degree corners through Sector 1 lead into a tightening uphill sprint as we start to circle around the old city. Then a 1.4-mile chase flat out through Sector 3 towards the finish line. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, edging out Max Verstappen, who'll start from P2. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Sainz, Russell, Perez, Fernando Alonso, Norris, Stroll, Bottas, Leclerc, Albon, the Professor, Oscar Piastri, Hülkenberg, Ocon, Tsunoda, Joe, Magnussen, Sargent, Fittipaldi, Gasly, Fittipaldi. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head down trackside for today's race. Anthony Davidson, thanks for joining me once again for the Grand Prix. Now, can I get your take on Max Verstappen? That was a great win in the last race, but can they keep that momentum going into this weekend?
It's always nice to come into a Grand Prix weekend on a high, but your expectations are based much more on your practice and qualifying runs. So it's the momentum from those sessions that they'll be hoping to carry into the race today.
Pierre Gasly taking a grid penalty there, boosting both Morgan Elliott and his teammates Fittipaldi up one place in this race. So we're starting from P12, starting on the medium tyres, going with the one-stop strategy, medium hard, putting our car slightly to the right in our grid spots. We get a bad parking spot, which is not nice to see, but still we're pushing it slightly to the right, as you can see. We're not pointing straight, we're pointing to the right because we want to try and get towards Alex Albon, push him as wide as possible through turn 1 and give us a good line through turn 1 up the inside there. Both us and Albon starting on the medium tyres. It is 5 red lights, it is no red lights, and off we go here in Baku. A quick start there for one of the cars in front. I think that is Lance Stroll possibly in the Aston Martin, and down to turn 1 we do have a good line there. It's going to be on the Haas, not Alex Albon. Albon had a great start, he's up alongside Alonso. We're battling with Nico Hülkenberg there. Down to turn 2, nice on the brake in there. Thought we were going to slam into the back of Alex Albon, but we managed to stay behind Albon. I'm not crashing into him there. Setting up an overtake now on Fernando Alonso, making him go wide to cover the inside line, which frees up the outside line perfectly for us into the next corner around the outside of Fernando Alonso, and a great overtake on a veteran driver there. Morgan Elliott off to a great start here in this race, and P10 is just ahead of us now. As you can see, Alex Albon and P10, that is 1 point. Can we try and get that Williams and get that 1 point? We've got a long race to go, 26 laps here in Baku. With a worn engine and a worn gearbox, it's not ideal to see. We have Alonso and Hülkenberg behind us on the soft tyres. They're going to have the advantage at the start of this race, but we will have the advantage later on with these medium tyres. And also Leclerc will have the advantage deeper into the race with those hard tyres. Starting on the hard's an interesting idea, you know, but we're pushing still. Also, Baku, a street circuit, it's very easy to crash into the walls here. Could we possibly see a safety car or a red flag in this race here as Fernando Alonso looks to send it up the inside into the downhill braking zone? He makes contact with Elliott and into the wall goes Morgan Elliott. That was an ambitious overtaking move there from Fernando Alonso, and a silly corner to try the overtake on. Yeah, we have the long straight coming up. Why would he not just wait behind Elliott and get in his slipstream and overtake him on the straight? We check our vehicle condition, but the engineer says there's nothing to worry about as we come through this final section now of the track. Alex Albon is 3.2 seconds ahead after that contact we made with Alonso there. He's ruined both of our races already from the jump, and here's what I mean about that top speed. We're trying to use a lot of battery charge to keep our speed up. We're trying to block off any overtakes up the inside, but down into turn 1 we managed to stay ahead. We've got a long train behind us, Hülkenberg, Alonso, I think I saw Tsunoda there as well. So Tsunoda is going to try and get involved, and Alonso's getting involved with Hülkenberg. Like I said, those soft tyres will definitely have the advantage at the start of the race, but judging by my own driving and my own practice, the soft tyres will fall off quite quickly. But other teams have better tyre wear than us. We are a new team in F1. Alonso trying to make a move up the inside again. We know what sort of driver Fernando Alonso is. If he sees a gap, he's going to go for it. He doesn't like sitting behind people for too long. He likes to make overtakes and climb up the pack, Fernando Alonso. And the Aston Martin is a very quick car this year in Formula 1, so he shouldn't be down in P12. I wonder what happened there. Did he have a bad qualifying? Maybe a grid penalty even? I didn't notice in the build-up, but Alonso still behind now. DRS will be activated now at the end of lap 2 though. Not what we like to see or hear, as Albon, who's 3 seconds ahead, will have DRS on Leclerc too, so we'll start pulling further ahead if he can stay within that 1 second gap. And down into turn 1, Alonso makes the overtake. Can we get the switch back? Down into turn 2, we let Alonso go past the overshotters mark, and down into turn 2, a bit of contact again with Alonso, just tapping us in the back as we make the overtake into turn 2. A very nice move there to get the switch back through turn 1 to set ourselves up for turn 2 very nicely indeed. Baku, like I keep mentioning, one of my favourite circuits to drive. This circuit is really fun. Yeah, it is really fun. Some challenging corners, nice moves that you can make against other drivers and stuff. Hulkenberg making an overtake there. An easy one for Hulkenberg to just get ahead down the straight with DRS there. But we send it back up the inside on Hulkenberg. Too wide through the next corner. Who's going to come out ahead? Hulkenberg wobbly on the exit. Not much traction on the curb there for Hulkenberg. And we managed to get ahead of Nico Hulkenberg right there. And a nice overtake again. Like I keep mentioning, I wonder if Alonso has picked up some more damage. He went into our side pod on lap 1. Tapped us on the back on lap 2 or 3, whatever that was. So I wonder if Alonso's picked up some damage, because now he's dropped behind Hulkenberg. And Hulkenberg, a very nice driver as well, who could be another potential teammate in the future if we do continue the series, like I keep mentioning. Stay tuned to the end for that one. But yeah, we're checking again. The gearbox wears 66%, the ICE wears 66%. Hulkenberg now down the inside, trying to set up the switch back on Hulkenberg. Are we going to be able to get it round the outside? He's going to cut us off. No, he's not. We've got the chance round the outside. And again, a nice move there to get back ahead of Nico Hulkenberg. Yeah, I love saying his name. You know, we might have to get him as a teammate just to keep saying his name, like Daniel Ricciardo used to do. But yeah, that's even if we do continue to get a teammate. Anyway, let me focus on the race, boys. Yeah. So lap 7, we're heading towards the end now. Bottas, the car that's ahead in P10, that 1 point spot, 8.8 seconds ahead. It's not looking good for us finishing in the points here. The tyre wear starting to get to us now, already on lap 7. I said in qualifying we were struggling with the oversteer, and already our tyres wear, and the rear tyres on 36% wear. I'm starting to feel that rear end sliding as we get into some certain corners. Hulkenberg, look at the speed of his car, and down the inside into turn 1. We have to avoid contact there, and there goes Alonso. He's capitalised on that mistake. Not necessarily a mistake, but we just have to avoid contact with Hulkenberg, which allowed Alonso an even bigger gap to send his car down. We do have DRS on Alonso though. Can we set up the same overtake we did on lap 1 on Alonso, make him cover the inside line so we can get the better line through the outside? Around the outside we go. Are we going to get ahead of Fernando Alonso there? And yes, we are. A very nice move again. Alonso's been done twice by the same move. You wouldn't normally hear that or see that from a veteran, getting done twice. But can we catch up to Hulkenberg now? That DRS is going to save us down the main straight. If we can get it on Hulkenberg, he will help pull us along for the rest of this race if we can stay within that. But already he's 1.3 seconds ahead. Can we try and make up 3 seconds, or 0.3 seconds I should say, in this next section of the track? It's not looking likely though. Zhou Guan Yu behind in P14. He's on the hard tyres again, so another player or driver. I don't know why I keep saying player, bro. I've just recorded a FIFA video, that's probably why. Another driver who's going to have an advantage later on in the race once our mediums start falling off, which they already are. I'm surprised that some of these soft runners haven't pit yet already. It's lap 8 and our medium tyres are falling off, so God only knows what those soft tyres are feeling like, you know. I bet they're like absolute ice cubes in terms of how much they're sliding at this point. But I mean, not too much going on in terms of the driver ahead and the driver behind. In terms of making mistakes and stuff, Alonso is sticking with us and Hulkenberg is creating a gap. So it seems that Morgan Elliott is the only man on this racetrack that's struggling. And again, the ICE, I'm just checking the way. We're only at 200% mile an hour. Or, well, no, it's not percent, is it? I don't know why I said that. 206 mile an hour now. We've got a bit of a slipstream. Yeah, the top speed and the acceleration slacking because of this ICE wear, and that's my bad for not checking it before starting the race weekend. For those wondering why I didn't just change it, once you go into qualifying, if you change your engine components, you will get a grid penalty because of what's called the Parc Fermé regulations. So once I had noticed it in qualifying, or was it the sprint race I noticed, I can't even remember, if we would have changed it and put a fresh component in, we would have had to take a 5 or 10 place grid penalty, and I just didn't want to do that because I thought he was in a good position. But in hindsight, you know, hindsight is what's the word? Hindsight is 2020. Is that what the phrase is? I don't know, but yeah, looking back, we definitely should have changed that component no matter what, even with the grid penalty, because it probably would have helped us in the long run. There goes Zhou Guan Yu making the overtake now again. There's another driver we can't compete with because we don't have the power. We don't have the power in the car. Leclerc comes out of the pits. Remember, he started on the hard tyres, and he's gone onto medium tyres on lap 10, which is a very weird pit stop. Now he's got 16 laps to go on medium tyres. Is he going for a 3-stop strategy? Going hard, medium, soft, possibly? That is a weird strategy there, but we're up into P10. This is only because a few people have come into the pits. We haven't pit yet, so we'll see our net position once we do pit ourselves. We're battling with Lance Stroll, though, and after me criticising Charles Leclerc's decision, he set the fastest lap. So, what do I know, eh? What do I know? Trying to stick with Lance Stroll through the castle section to get DRS. It's not looking good as it stands, though. That corner right there just lets us down 2 times in a row. Big oversteer there as we touch the curb and lose the back end of the car. Really struggling on these tyres, so we have to come into the pits here to start lap 13. We're going to get these hard tyres on to go to the end of the race. And let's see. Let's see now where we come out. Are we going to be back up? Where was we beforehand? Like P13 was it? Or 15-ish? We come onto the pits. Another pit stop that just yeets you out into the racing line. And we're going to be P20 coming out to the pits. Pierre Gasly, the car in front. Zhou Guan Yu ahead on soft tyres, so he's definitely going to have to pit again. So there are cars that still have to pit again, so this might not be a net P20, but yeah, it's not looking good. Let's see where we can get by the end of this race, as that's Fittipaldi. Oh no, it's Magnussen, sorry. Fittipaldi's our teammate. He's now behind us. Magnussen in the other Haas car from Hulkenberg makes an overtake there. We're trying to send it back up the inside of Magnussen. Do we have the space? Magnussen gives us the room. Fair, clean driving from 2 races there. And a nice overtake. Even though we're down in P19, I've got to still try and make this race worth driving. So, of course, we're going to push. And we are going to gain another place because Oscar Piastri is out of the session. Engine failure there. You can see the cloud of smoke from the back of his car. So he's out of the session. And that gains us another place. We love to see that. Hopefully just like 10 more cars have to retire here so we can get some points or something, you know what I mean? Down the main straight again. No pace. Like the Undertaker walking to the ring. And Magnussen is going to make a move down into turn 1. Before we even get to the braking zone, he's ahead. Can we get the switch back like we did on Alonso? No, a nice line from Magnussen there. He doesn't overshoot his marks. Down into turn 2 again. Looking up the inside. Too far back to send a lunge. But we will have DRS. Will it even matter with this dying engine that we've got in this car? Who knows? We're pushing now still. We've got a slipstream on Magnussen and DRS down the main straight. Will this help us out? We're setting green sections now, which means we are going faster than our personal best, which is nice to see. And before we even get to the braking zone, our turn now. Have we found some second wind in these tyres? A second life in these tyres, giving us some grip? Yeah, early on in this... Well, still quite early on in this stint, actually, with the hard tyres. We're about halfway through it. But yeah, setting a nice lap there, new personal best. But now 72% wear on the ICE and the gearbox, and we are really struggling now. The hairpin corner, a tight one.
Okay, bad news on the gearbox, I'm afraid. The team are trying everything they can think of, but they're not optimistic. Just keep at it, do your best, that's all we can ask.
Our engineer giving us some bad news there. 72% wear on the gearbox, and if you check in the bottom middle, our gearbox now has lost 4th gear. So once we brake and accelerate, we can't go into 4th gear, which is going to really impact us in terms of our acceleration again, as Magnussen tries to send it down the inside like Alonso did. A bit of contact again, but we go from 3rd gear right to 5th, which drops the revs so much that we just lose acceleration, which is not nice to see. And that's really going to, like, we're really going to suffer now because of that. So if you're wondering what the gearbox wear means, because we've obviously already explained that ICE wear means that you lose top speed and acceleration. The gearbox wear, eventually you will just lose gears, bro, and sometimes you could even lose 2 gears, and then you're just going to be all over the place, yeah? Imagine upshifting from 2nd gear to 4th gear, you'll probably stall the car, bro. But anyway, we're ahead of Magnussen still. Zhou does come into the pits like I mentioned, so we're up into P15. Not a bad position, still a good few laps left in this race though, and a good distance between us and the car in front. So P15 is looking like the best possible result from this race. If we can hold on, Kevin Magnussen though is not going to give up easily. He goes around the outside into the next corner. I was hoping to stay alongside into the braking zone, but we just can't. He just gets ahead into that braking zone. Now we're down to P16. Again, trying to find that gap to send it back on Magnussen. Not quite coming up though, unfortunately. But can we stick with him? Can we stick with him? The answer is no. He's 2.3 seconds ahead with 6 laps left in this race now. His teammate Nico Hulkenberg onto the medium tyres. Don't know what strategy he was running. Hard medium, I think, possibly. And Hulkenberg now down the main straight. He's going to look to overtake us as our engine just keeps getting slower and slower. He now has DRS, and we can see him fly past us now with that rear wing open. And this is just the start of our downfall. This is the start of disaster, really, isn't it? Like, we had a good qualifying, a good sprint race, but that engine has let us down. Yeah, 2 races in a row. This one was my fault. Last race, obviously, the engine blew up. There's nothing I can do about that. But this time, it was my fault for not checking the wear. And yeah, just even with DRS now, we just can't catch up to Hulkenberg down this straight. And now I can see in our rear view mirror, De Vries is starting to catch up to us, get within DRS range, and Logan Sargent is just behind him. He'll be within DRS range soon of us. And here we go. Here's Sargent with DRS. He's looking to make an overtake on those hard tyres. We've got Zhou Guanyu on soft tyres behind, as Sargent gives us a little tap as he goes past us. And there goes Zhou. We're just disaster, isn't it? 2 wide into turn 1, Sargent and Zhou. We capitalise there. Zhou overshoots his marks. We get back ahead, but he gets DRS down the straight again on this next turn. But we will have it on Sargent, so let's see if we can negate the power of Zhou's DRS by getting it on Sargent. And yes, we can, using a bit of our battery charge, that overtake mode, to get ahead of Sargent into the braking zone. Can we make that one stick? Yes, we can, up into P17. So we're still fighting with a fallen engine. Yeah, the engine's fallen off, but we're still fighting till the very end of this race here in Baku. And it's starting to get a bit dark in Baku here, yeah. Grip level's going to start falling away soon, our engineers just said, as Sargent were pushing them as tight as possible to the wall there. That was a bit cheeky from us, but Sargent's ahead. Can we try and get the switch back? This is my favourite move to do into turn 1, but no, Sargent gets a nice exit there. But again, can we set up Sargent into turn 2? He doesn't bite. I tried to make him go for the inside so we could get the outside, but he doesn't bite. But we're right on his gearbox again to activate that DRS and go down this straight. Only a few laps left in this race, so all to play for still for these rear positions, with just like 1.5 or 2.5 laps left, I should say, in this race here. And Zhou, obviously on the soft tyres, more grip than anyone around him right now. He is going to be trying to make moves and get ahead of the 2 stinky cars in front of him, being Elliott and Sargent. He's going to be trying to get ahead of them, but I told you, it's dark. Rain clouds, yeah? You can see the rain dripping on the camera, sliding off the camera there, and it's starting to fall even heavier now. Sergio Perez has already took the checkered flag, so nobody coming in to get new tyres or anything like that. We've just got to finish this 1 lap left on these tyres that we've got. But these are worn hard tyres, and the track is starting to get slippery. The downhill braking zone was very tricky to get the car slowed down there, because obviously with the track being wet, it's hard to grip the surface. I don't know where Logan Sargent's gone, but he's nowhere to be seen. De Vries overtook him, and so is Zhou. I don't know what happened to him, whether he came into the pits again or something like that. Trying to take it easy around this section, very tough in the rain, that section there, to not put it in the wall, but using the rest of our battery charge to try and cross the line before Zhou on his soft tyres with DRS. Can we cross the line before him? He's in our slipstream, but there is the checkered flag, and we will finish this race in P17. Not great. We qualified P15, then in the sprint race put it up to 13, and then dropped 4 places in the actual race, but that was due to our engine wear. But a fun race regardless of that. You know, it was still a quite entertaining race for me to drive, because we had some good overtakes, good battles, but it is just unfortunate when you just see the cars getting ahead of you and you know, like, oh, there's nothing I can do in the race. It's just the engine now, you know what I mean? So we'll definitely replace that for the next race. But yeah, you can watch all the celebrations and stuff and all the stuff going on the screen. But I mentioned at the start of the video there was something I wanted to talk about, and I don't exactly know what I'm going to title this video yet. But I might have to call it quits, boys, on this series, I can't lie. Yeah, I was really excited to start this series once the game came out, and then after the first few races I was like, okay, the game is no different, but I can still make good entertaining content and enjoy the series. And obviously from the comments and the reactions to this series, it seems like you guys watching enjoy this series too. But without getting too deep into it, and without going into too much details and exposing too much, basically I'm injured in real life. Yeah, I'm carrying a long-term injury, not to sound like a Dream Chasers player from Season 7, but yeah, like after I finished this Baku race, bro, I stood up and my knee was battered. Yeah, I was in physical pain after this race, and I just thought to myself, bro, I'm enjoying the series and stuff, but 6 videos a week is so much stress, bro. 4 videos a week as it stands was stress, and I just thought to myself, you know what, let me make myself even more stressed by doing 6 videos a week. So that was stupid of me to begin with. And then, yeah, like I say, I'm getting in physical pain from doing these videos, boys, and I'm sorry if you enjoy them. Yeah, no matter how much you enjoy them, going through physical pain to make YouTube videos is not worth it. Like, this isn't Jackass, bro. Do you know what I mean? I'm not Johnny Knoxville. I don't want to go through physical pain to make content. I am not Johnny Knoxville. So yeah, I might have to call it quits on this series, or just, I don't know, one video every so often, just a random sporadic upload, because I do enjoy playing F1 and I've got a big wheel and pedal setup and stuff, and I do want to race. But like I say, I'm just injured, bro, and hopefully that gets sorted out soon. And I don't know, maybe in a few months' time or something, if it does get sorted out soon, then I can bring this series back. But yeah, like I say, it might just be sporadic uploads from now on, or just no uploads. I might have to call it quits. I do not know. But yeah, hopefully you understand and you aren't too bummed out by that, because I mean, I'm bummed out by it, you know what I mean? I was enjoying this series and enjoying where like we could go with this, with the dream races concept as well, being the dream chasers on FIFA and being the dream races on here. Like, it was a very interesting concept for me to put into action. But yeah, so for now, boys, we're probably gonna have to call it quits on the F1 series, unfortunately. But we're still doing 4 videos a week, 3 episodes of Dream Chasers Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and 1 episode of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Career Mode on Saturdays. And that's subject to change even, because we're getting towards the end of the Dream Chasers series now, the end of part 1 of the JoJo series. So we're going to be starting part 2 of JoJo's, and then the aftermath of the end of the Dream Chasers. So there'll be a time possibly when we have nothing to upload, and then I could bring the F1 back then. But yeah, if you enjoy the series, boys, I really do appreciate it. But just keep that notification bell turned on the channel after you've subscribed, and then you'll know when we upload, because like I say, it might just be randomly. The days we'll upload this possibly is Tuesdays, Thursdays, or Sundays. It might be Sundays because it'll be random uploads, and obviously the real life F1 races are on Sundays, so I might possibly do that. But yeah, like I say, best way to find out is by subscribing and turning on that notification bell. But next up is Miami, a track that I'm not very good at anyway, so the next episode would have been a stinker. But look forward to it whenever it comes, people, and hopefully you understand my reasoning behind wrapping up this series early, or at least putting it on hold. But if you did enjoy, like, comment, share, subscribe. You know the vibes. I appreciate your support regardless. Take it easy, people.